Hi, I'm Waite, author of best-selling book Online Business Startup, and in this video, in my last video I talked about why you should be reviewing your website, and in this particular video I'm going to be talking about what specifically we're going to be testing. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the page load speed. So how quickly, when somebody puts your website address into their web browser, does your page appear in front of them? So we use something called the 7-second rule. That's actually been reduced down with the invention of, with the creation of fiber optic, because pages load much quicker, and 4G as well on mobile devices. So actually it's reduced to now 5 to 7 seconds. But the 7-second rule says that somebody should put your web address into their web browser, and within 7 seconds they should know who you are, what you do, and what they should do next. So if your website doesn't even load within 7 seconds, then immediately you're on the back foot, and probably that person's going to get bored and go straight back to Google and punch another website into there, and then that's probably one of your competitors and you've lost that potential sale. So what we want is our pages to load as quickly as they possibly can. So we're getting that who we are, who you are, what you do, and where to go next in as quick as a time frame as possible. And in order to do that, there are typical things which make pages load slower. It might be the architecture and framework the site's built on. Well, that's a tricky one to overcome, but quick wins are things like images. So if you've uploaded really 5-10 megabyte sized images, those are going to take quite a long time to load up. So we make sure that the base layer of the website loads quickly, as well as things like the graphics and any associated files. They upload as soon as possible in order to build that website within 7 seconds. Second thing we look at is something called Web Standards Compliance. So there's some guys called the World Wide Web Consortium, group of geeks who huddle in a room and make up the rules about the internet. But they create these rules in order to make sure that websites load quickly and load well. Otherwise, the internet would be a mess. So Web Standards Compliance, WW3, the World Wide Web Consortium, determines the quality of the code which is being output. So you don't see this. It's only the web developer who's really going to see this code. You can also right-click on your page and hit View Source, and you can have a look at the code, but you might understand it, you might not. But if you go through the W3C compliance, the validator, it'll determine whether your site contains any errors. So typically, if there are errors on your site with site code, with source code, your page will load more slowly. Google will pick them up and rank you lower. So there's a couple of really good reasons why you need to make sure that your site doesn't contain any kind of errors. Third tip is about the quality of the content which you're producing. So Google and the other search engines look at things like metadata, headings, typos, the quality of the code, and the amount of content which you've got. And if they don't tick all of the boxes, then Google is going to reduce your page rank. So ergo, you're not going to get as many visitors to your website, you're not going to make as many sales for your products or services. So it's not about just having a website up there, it's about making sure the quality of the content that you're putting on your website is brilliant. My fourth tip is around search engine optimization. So you've probably all heard about SEO. In my opinion, I think there are some basic SEO principles that you still need to adhere to, but old school SEO is dead and dying out. There are new things like video, slide decks, podcasts, all the sorts of things which drive traffic to your website, which are growing and emerging, and will do so over the next sort of 2-3 years. But traditional SEO, things that we can still do which are going to help our website. We can make sure that we've got lots of links directed into our website. So we're building links from other websites to our own. That sends some good signals out to Google and its page rank. We can make sure we set up our social media channels. Those are also linking back to our website. And with regards to social media, if you've got a good following, you're popular, you're posting more regularly, those sorts of things also send out good signals to the search engines. So those are called off-site SEO. So inbound links, social media, etc., social proof. So on-site SEO, things I mentioned earlier on about meta titles, descriptions, headings, keywords within the site. So on-site SEO is really important, and the quality of the code. So if your website is built from the ground up, rather than using an off-the-peg application content management system, typically those sites are much more lightweight and typically are much more search engine friendly. Things like WordPress tend to have a lot of code bloat in them, so they're slow to load. Maybe some of the plugins you've installed are built by shonky developers, and there's bugs and errors in there. Compared to if you just code up a very simple brochure-style site from the ground up, you're going to if you find an error, it's going to be more easy to fix. But equally, there's probably likely to be less of them because there's not so much code bloat. My fifth tip is about cross-device compatibility and cross-browser compatibility. So cross-device compatibility talks about things like iPads. Nowadays, the mobile market for the internet accounts for about, well, it's over 50% of browsing now. So if your website isn't mobile device compatible, you're automatically discounting 50% of your potential customers. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous. So, but it's not only that, you've got to make sure it works on a laptop, on a PC, on a Mac, on an iPad, on an iPhone, on various different mobile browsers which are out there and smartphones. Equally, on those mobile devices, or on all of the devices, there's going to be different web browsers. So you talk about Safari, Opera, Internet Explorer, it's called something else now, Firefox, and Google Chrome, to name but a few. Your website will load slightly differently on all of those, so we want to make sure that it looks the same no matter what browser people are using. The next thing to think about, and this is the most commonly forgotten thing to think about, is accessibility. So considering people with disabilities, and it could be something as simple as colour blindness, for example, which will affect how they view the site. To most people it may look okay. To somebody with a visual impairment, it may be harder to read if you've used small fonts. For somebody with colour blindness, if you've used colours which don't complement each other or are too similar, for example, it might be difficult for them to view. Somebody with motor problems, so maybe they can't work a mouse, maybe they find it difficult to type. We want to make sure that they can use things like screen readers and other sorts of input devices to navigate their way around your website. A lot of people tend to build the website because it looks okay to them, they don't think about other people. But the accessible marketplace accounts for 20 to 25% of people viewing websites these days. Again, why would you just automatically discount 25 out of 100 potential customers to your business? So there are ways to build a website that communicates with assistive technologies and input devices to make it easier for people with accessibility requirements to view websites. So just to summarise those key points, you're testing your website for how quickly the page, your website pages load. Making sure that it complies with the web standards, the World Wide Web Consortium and standards compliance which they've laid out. Making sure that the quality of the content is as good as it possibly can be on your website. All of this is going to improve search engine optimization on-site and off-site. We're going to make sure that your website works on a variety of different devices and a whole plethora of different web browsers. We're also going to make sure that our website works for your accessible audience as well. So I hope you found that really helpful. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see any more videos. And if you've got any questions, then please leave them in the comments boxes below this. Also, if you want to know more, then please go and have a look at my website.